it so Israel isn't a Jewish homeland? Where is my wife who lives with me in Beverly Hills in California? Where's she gonna go? In the garbage? In the toilet? Do you just want to kill her?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe she's gonna go where she is now.
It's not even, it's funny because I don't even think he was talking about he led the situation. I think he was talking about fucking how, like, yeah, this is clip chimped. I think this is literally about how the common trope that people write about on like Forward magazine and shit. Like the idea that like I'm under threat in the upper west side or the upper east side. Like, and then there's like articles being written about like how I saw a Muslim man or like a scary brown guy. It's funny because, again, Felix is
Now, which is not Israel.
Yeah, this is
like,
and it's clear what he meant in the context. He just clipped that. I agree, but people are stupid to refuse and believe it. Okay. If you agree with my definition of Zionism, which corresponds to material reality, but then your counter to it is that, well, other people don't. What do you want me to do? Do I allow any kind of reactionary hallucinations to go on in this? Do you ever have this expectation of me on any other issue? Republicans hallucinate a reality where gay people and trans people are constantly grooming your children to fuck them. Do I entertain that? No. What the fuck do you mean? Like, what do you mean? I do not entertain reactionary framing on issues, okay? Zionism is inherently reactionary. It is fascist. If you understand, I mean, this is from 2021. Stop conflating Jews all around the world with a horrific, violent Israeli occupation. You are being anti-Semitic when you claim that all Jews are a monolith in their unconditional support for a far-right, ultra-nationalist, ethno-state government engaging in war crimes. Listen, if you were white, this conversation wouldn't happen. I am white, just not white enough for some on this issue. Every other issue that I talk about, I don't get hit on like this. This is the one issue. Majority report agreeing with you. The term Zionism can sometimes encounter issues because there are many Jews who identify with the term for reasons of upbringing or whatever and fit with the Einstein version more or less. Jewish community and pluralistic Palestine. Yeah, that definition Einstein didn't agree with either and recognized was wrong. Einstein would now be considered an anti-Zionist with his attitude about what the nation-state project of Israel looked like early on. That's the problem, okay? You can't just like assume that this is something that it objectively isn't. It's like saying, well, I don't know, a lot of people grew up with the understanding that Israel is a democracy. Okay, I don't care. It's not. What do you mean? It's a ridiculous thing to be like, well, sorry, social conditioning actually is more important in this circumstance. Well, it's not. It's not the truth. What do you want me to do? Fucking lie to you? That's what's crazy about this entire process is that, like, you can't imagine something that Israel is not. Okay, you can't imagine an alternative reality of what Zionism should be when it's not that. And then just be like, and I feel like I'm being hurt in this circumstance. I don't know how else to go about this. I don't get it. I don't fully comprehend it. I don't know what to say. Isn't that like saying all Westerners are right-wing nut jobs that want to delete black and brown people? What? Dude. This is a political definition, okay? It is a project. It is an ethnostate project with well-defined boundaries. It's not like saying all Westerners are right-wing nut jobs. It's like saying all Nazis are right-wing nut jobs that want to delete black and brown people. You don't have an issue with that, right? If I were to say Nazis, okay, and their fascist ideology dictates the ethnic cleansing of black and brown people, okay? When I say that, everyone's like, yeah, I get that. That's correct. That's a correct assessment. I have Israeli Jews in this chat. The fuck do you mean? What a ridiculous conversation to have over and over and over again. It is a settler colonial project. That is what it is. The issue, however, is that it is a settler colonial project that has unfolded in front of our eyes at a time when we've learned too much about the mistakes of the past when we were growing up. So it is at odds with what we think is right and wrong. So you can't make up for that. It would have still been wrong if it was conducted in the 17th century, but we're not in the 17th century. No, I agree with you. I'm just saying a lot of Jews can have a knee-jerk reaction to the term people going after Zionists, like kill all Zionists or whatever, because a lot of people don't see it the way that we do. So I think you just need to have some patience and understanding on that front. It's not the primary issue here, but just something to consider for the purposes of communication. No, I'm very familiar with this. I understand it. Trust me, I do.
The first instance of this stuff I saw was when, like last year during his first dust up with you, when he did the thing that like all these guys do, where it's like they live in America, their families live in America, they'll never fucking move to Israel, and in fact, one of their family members moved from Israel because it actually sucks to live there.
Bro, they're making him. Bro, he's posting like he's got barred from Columbia campus, dude. Like that, dog. You're in Yemen. Like, what do you mean?
It's just like making him do this shit. Like, but he did that thing where like last year where he's like, oh, you want to make it so Israel isn't a Jewish homeland? Where is my wife who lives with me in?
Like, the question I have is, there are a shit ton of anti-Zionist Jews, many of which that have been on this broadcast, many of which that are endlessly accessible. Many anti-Zionist Jews in this community. When someone says, like, fuck Zionists, do these anti-Zionist Jews go, whoa, why you say fuck me for? Or do they go, yeah, I get what they're saying? That's the difference, okay? I don't get it. I don't understand it. Anti-Zionist Jews themselves, including Felix Biederman, will also say sometimes even worse shit than just fuck Zionists. Okay? This does not mean that there aren't bad faith actors that try to masquerade as pro-Palestinian in an effort to funnel a lot of anti-Semitic agitative propaganda. The distinction here is that I do not allow that. You know, I don't allow that. And I regularly speak out against it. That's why I said That's why I said yesterday, like, I urge Ethan to talk to Sam Cedar. Okay? There are very thoughtful, very kind, very understanding, and much less, how do I say this? Like, much less straightforward anti-Zionist Jews out there that he could talk to, I think, develop a different understanding of these matters. I don't think that I will be able to reach him. But maybe they could. That's it. Like, because the reason why I bring up Sam Cedar is because, well, not only is he my uncle, okay, my real uncle, and not my fake uncle like Jank, but also because I think he is an incredibly thoughtful person that will broach the subject with a lot more charitability than someone like Felix will. You know what I mean? Gabor Mate is another great example of this. I just don't think that I can, I'm going to be honest, like, I just don't think that I can, like, penetrate the hardened position that he has. You're a Muslim terrorist defender now? I mean, I have never stopped being a Muslim terrorist defender. My name is Hasan in America post 9/11. Like, what do you mean? Felix Dome got it. I love Felix. He is brilliant. He's hilarious. He is my goat. He is not as tactful as others. Felix is an anti-Zionist Jew for, many decades at this point. You get a little bit more hardened, I think, over time. And, the way that you approach the subject matter is going to be less tactful. How much do you weigh at the moment? Like 225 probably? How do I get there from 320? Work every day, baby. Work every day. One foot at one. Put your best foot forward, one step at a time. Time will absolve you per tradition. Yeah, but it sure sucks while you're living in it, Not that it fucking matters. I saw something online on my subreddit, actually, that I wanted to point to. Someone did an effort post. I mean, there's a lot of effort posts, right? There's a lot of effort posts. But this one was really interesting because I think Ethan took a clip from the stream out of context on his show. So I figured it would be a good idea to add context by breaking down the stream with timestamps. Impossible to argue that Hasan is doing anything but standing up for Ethan and telling off his chat in the stream, regardless of what Ethan's unhinged, untrue rant calling for his friend to be banned on Twitch will have you think. Ethan turning off comments on the video when fans disagreed with him in the comments is insane. This is from Friday, September 13th, 2024 stream. Hasan begins by reacting to the video Why the Leftovers podcast ended. Hasan talks about why he never talks about Ethan, why Leftovers ended because of parasocialism and him not being at odds with Ethan on Israel-Palestine. Hasan says he doesn't care that Ethan calls him out because he knows Ethan's heart is in the right place about Israel-Palestine, regardless of how he treats Hasan's community and mods. And before people go, why don't you fucking yell at Frogan? Okay, before people go, why don't you guys yell at, why doesn't Hasan yell at Frogan? Why doesn't Hasan yell at Frogan? You think I'm going to fucking turn around and be like, hey, this hijabi Muslim woman who is a content creator herself, who's constantly getting fucking serially harassed by Islamophobic monstrous pieces of shit, whose family is still in Lebanon, you know? You think I'm going to be like, hey, I know Israel is like, I know that Israel's bombing your fucking village and you're getting harassed endlessly, you know, but it's really fucked up. Like, I think it's ridiculous. I personally don't even care if he's like calling me out or whatever. I heard that like people were saying that Ethan talked about me on his podcast today or some shit like that. I don't care. I genuinely don't care. For me, you know what I do care about? Ethan considering what Israel's doing to be genocidal far before October 7th. Okay? I do care about that. I think that matters. Especially when he is so close to the subject matter, so close to the different aspects of social conditioning that play a pretty prominent role in the development of American Jews, who are very progressive people overall. Okay, I don't care. Like, do you feel like I'm like regularly? Do you feel like these are the statements of a person who's like regularly and routinely fucking directing harassment his way to him and his family? Hasan defends Ethan, telling off his chat, saying that Ethan will never become MAGA because people were like, nah, Ethan is going down the right-wing slant. He's going to become MAGA. I was like, no, he's not. I don't think so. Anti-Semitism is abhorrent and completely unacceptable. I've never allowed it. It is my red line, obviously. He went from crying about dead passing babies to calling you Hasanabi, shaking my head, sad to see. Hasan says when he looks back at Leftovers, he's happy that it happened. Hasan supports enjoying Ethan's content even when people disagree. Stark tone difference from Ethan and saying Hasan should be banned on Twitch because of how Hasan's content makes him feel, don't you think? Hasan says that he got the feeling that Ethan thought Hasan was trying to turn the H3 community against Ethan when Hasan was instead offering more charitability and banning chatters who came into the stream to shit talk Ethan and cause drama. Hasan defends Ethan's character even when Ethan gets too passionate, flies off the rails because ultimately Hasan thinks Ethan's heart is in the right place. Hasan says Ethan is 90% of the way there on the correct stance on Israel-Palestine. Hasan says, please point to the anti-Semites in the chat so we can ban them. Says anti-Semitism is banned in his community. Here's the problem. When you're already operating under the mindset that like I am allowing anti-Semitism to fester, you can probably look at this situation and go, oh, he's just covering his base. Except there's never been a moment where I've thought that like anti-Semitism has been appropriate or acceptable. I've railed against Nazis my whole fucking career. I've been doxxed, harassed, swatted, family members fucking harassed by Nazis. Hasan tells Shadow to shut the fuck up, that he hates that they don't care about his well-thought-out opinion. He hates how they call Ethan a Nazi, why he hates covering drama with Ethan, and that he knows that people will still spin his opinion to prove his community is anti-Semitic. Hasan goes off on chat again, calling them crazy, telling them they can't be normal, saying it's not D-Chatter's cosplaying, but rather people who he say is not sufficiently leftist. If I ever catch someone talking maliciously about Gila, I will ban you. You're an unhinged psycho. Permanently bans chatter talking bad about Ethan. Hasan correctly predicts that a reasonable take on the issue will not get clipped, but instead an out of context take will be by a certain community. And that's exactly what happened. I'm trying to be my most best faith, honest self. I promise I have family in Israel and lost so many friends and connections from advocating for Palestine. I don't live in Ohio and I don't have an issue with anyone at H3. I think Ethan should just know better and give you and your community a sliver of grace you award him. Yeah, I agree. No, I don't disagree with you. It's just that this very reasonable take that you just mentioned is not going to make it to the fucking supercut that like Boner Chelly's fucking genocide loving community is salivating to make. No one is going to hear this. They're only going to see the fucking random dipshits in the chat being like, this guy's a bloodthirsty Zionist. Oh, fuck you. Okay. Do you salute soldiers over time? You see them always. And that's exactly what happened. I correctly predicted that as well. And here we are. I pre-watched that. Hasan identifies someone posting the H3 subreddit as a Destiny fan, LSF stalker who's been clipping him for 5 years. From Ethan's podcast, Hasan correctly predicts that all of these will come to the all of that will come from this situation is drama that turns into drama content and says that his audience is annoying and doesn't listen to him. Hasan correctly predicts that random chatters' unnecessary chirping messages will be twisted against them. Ethan showed them on stream today. Hasan rage quits on chat, explaining that how they're acting is why leftovers ended, asking his chat to focus on what matters and will advance the cause of a free Palestine. Just felt this VOD / response from Hasan deserves a voice because Ethan didn't mention that Hasan defends him and tells off his chat about it. So if you're coming in here from, fresh off the heels of like watching, this is one like 1 hour time frame from one singular VOD. Okay. If you're coming in here thinking like, oh, well, I watched a fucking 2-hour character assassination. I've been following you for years and years, but I'm really shocked at your position on these issues now that I've seen this fucking VOD. Or Ethan's coverage over how I let anti-Semitism fester in this community or some shit like that, or I'm giving like mind control powers over to my audience. I'm like constantly signaling to them secretly with secret messages. I hope you understand that that is not the truth, and you are being you're just getting you're being a sucker. That's it. Not only are you being a sucker, you're being a sucker in a really silly way in the midst of a fucking genocide, okay? So he's not lying about experiencing harassment, but he's totally neglecting the truth that is not encouraged by Hasan or that it's the norm of life. His brain is broken, is sad. Like, I'm sure he's experiencing harassment. Of course he's experiencing harassment. I haven't stopped experiencing harassment since October 7th. Everyone that has any opinion on this is going to get shit on. I get shit on by people who are pro-Palestine who say I'm not sufficiently pro-Palestine. I get shit on by everyone who's pro-Israel and get called a fucking extremist Nazi who is who is anti-Semitic and is always like fucking hyping up terrorists nonstop. The difference is when you say that about someone who is not pro-Israel, it sticks. There is a mainstream narrative surrounding this sort of thing. That's why the college campus protesters, regardless of their Jewish background, for example, were considered to be in the pocket of Hamas and the IRGC. That was a real narrative in the media, right? The balance is entirely slanted in mainstream discourse on these sorts of issues. That's it. This whole thing reminds me of the I consent meme format. Hassan Hamas, anti-Semitism is not tolerated here. Jewish community members, anti-Semitism is not tolerated here. Non-community members, sometimes not even Jewish, anti-Semitism is rampant. Yes. You probably just need to bite the bullets of what? Bite what bullets? Just stop covering Gaza? Stop speaking to the humanity of the victims? Just bite the bullet on the Tim Houthi kid? Why? Why would I ever? Why would I ever in a million fucking years turn around and take accountability over the fucking tweets of a dude in Yemen who could be killed by American bombing campaigns that are happening in his fucking neighborhood every goddamn day? What an insane, like, listen to yourself, okay? Listen to yourself. Listen to yourself. There is no bullet to bite. I'm not going to ever cave or capitulate to an insane set of standards, an insane set of expectations. Yeah. If I did something that was fucked up by my estimations, I would, of course, apologize for it. I have time and time again. But when people turn around and act like a 19-year-old in Yemen is not a survivor of genocide because I don't feel so, I'm sorry, you're wrong. You know what I mean? You're objectively wrong. That is the truth. He is a survivor of genocide. A survivor of genocide who might at any given moment be killed by American bombs. No one cares in the media interviews an IDF soldier who says to level Gaza law. I know. I think it's utterly ridiculous to even have this conversation. Like, I don't know. It's just very, very stupid. Fair. I do think people go way too far in making him sound like a terrorist than he actually is. In the eyes of a lot of these people that are pro-Israel, that want to defend Israel's actions, everyone that is a victim of American imperialism in any way, shape, or form is, of course, a terrorist. Like, that's the whole point. How do you think we can continue this charade as Israel pummels Gaza into fucking oblivion? Okay? Like, it's hilarious. They're like, hey, man, by the way, this 19-year-old in Yemen was holding a gun. Must be a terrorist. Meanwhile, highest gun ownership per capita after the United States of America in Yemen. So I have to like him or Israel? Is there a reality I can disagree with both? Yeah, dude, go off. You can disagree with him all day, every day. I don't give a shit. But if you come in here and tell me that he is not a survivor of genocide, I will tell you that you are wrong. Okay? What do you mean you disagree with a 19-year-old in Yemen? Like, do you guys hear yourselves? Do you hear yourselves? We are talking about a 19-year-old in Yemen who is a survivor of the genocide in Yemen that was conducted with American bombs. Yemen is being bombed as of last night, Yemen was bombed again. Okay? The internet was a mistake. The internet was a fucking mistake. You have no way of understanding that this person, okay, that this person's life expectancy is very different than yours. This person's understanding of the world is very different than yours. Like, your approval is completely and utterly inconsequential. Genocide ended 3 years ago. Exactly. He was 16. Yemen is still one of the poorest countries on the planet. He was 16 when the genocide ended. It went on for almost a decade. So from 6 to 16, he survived genocide, endless man-made famine. What the fuck are we talking about? I don't know how I can communicate this. But why don't you consider the agency of that Yemeni kid? I am considering the agency, except many people think he is, under my guardianship or something. And I think the only reason why we're having this conversation is because people want to grab onto anything that they can. People want to grab onto anything that they can to just like continue this discourse. Okay? And it feels like I'm having this conversation with people who are otherwise very progressive and maybe perhaps think that they're very progressive, but on this issue, dare I say, exhibiting a little bit of Islamophobia. Now, I don't like to say this because I know the moment that I drop this, people are going to be like, oh, you think because this guy is a Houthi terrorist actually who has like thrown gay people off the roofs that you think I'm actually making this stuff. I'm actually assuming that he's doing that sort of thing in my mind and that's Islamophobic. Like, why can I not speak to the insatiable bloodthirst that this person has, that he wants to kill every single Jewish person on the planet, that I've decided that that's what he wants to do? Why can't I just say that? Wow, it's really fucked up. I can't believe some of the problematic tweets of a dude who basically all he knows is death and destruction in his life. I'm like, oh my God. I know. This drama has been artificially extended for months. We shouldn't even be having to fucking talk about this. It's actually insane. I know. Maybe I read wrong, but I feel like Hasan saying talking to the Yemeni guys like talking to Anne Frank back in their day isn't likening him to her. It's just that you get to talk to a Yemeni kid, to a young kid that's grown up in a war and being constantly bomb threatened. The reason why I mentioned that is because now in modern society, you have access to a person who is directly a victim and a survivor of genocide. He is not the only survivor of genocide that I've had on this broadcast. Motaz Azaiza is another person that was in my house. Grew up in Gaza. I interviewed him as well. Every single moment that we're covering this stuff, by the way, is successfully centering the conversation back to like the feelings of people living in the lap of luxury, myself included. I'm selfishly indulging in this, and it feels wrong. I'd rather talk about anything else. But the thing that I wanted to repeat Easy Jess, you did that comparison for anti-Semitic reasons. Too dumb to realize he compared Jewish voice for Peace to Capos. I know. I think he thought Motaz was the Yemeni kid because he said you talked to the Yemeni kid as recently as last week. No, I haven't talked to him in like a year almost. 10 months ago is when I talked to him. No one will call Motaz a terrorist because he's a journalist and his background isn't as vague as the kid. That's not correct. Plenty of people call him a terrorist. A shit ton of people call him a terrorist. The Israeli state assassinated his friend and the other journalist that was operating his drones. What are you talking about? Of course everybody calls him a fucking terrorist. Dog. They call babies terrorists. Exactly. They call terror babies. This is the other thing that I was going to say. Like, there are a lot of people. This is something that I tried to communicate to Ethan a long time ago. Okay. He said you didn't talk to him last week. He said you talked about him. Can we cover everything else, please? Yeah. Look, it's not just this community. There are a shit ton of other people. Ethan has been a very famous person online for years and years, developed a lot of fucking people who hate him, just like myself, okay? I have a lot of haters that aren't just coming from Boner Chelly's community, okay? Yeah, by the way, it's funny. People go, oh, wow, like people don't call Motaz a terrorist. People call me a terrorist, dog. What are you talking about? What do you think Hasanabi is? What do you think what they're trying to say with that? I think people don't understand that Ethan's own fan base, because he had a genuine change of mind, which I respect him for, okay, still to this day, on a lot of these issues, he cultivated a very progressive community, much broader and much different than my community. And those very progressive people, understandably, have a different attitude. I think that is the main problem here, that like the main problem here is that I don't think he understands this. I don't think he understands that his like audience actively try to not think about his opinions or the way he presents himself on this issue, because the reality of the matter is, like, I still believe and hope that he is considerate of the genocide that Israel is engaging in, and that he recognizes that Israel is an apartheid state. I don't know where he's at on the matter, but considering that he consistently pulls up like random people on Twitter and says, I've been getting serially harassed by